Welcome to our series on Seventh-day Rest. Today, we're going to be talking about the work that you do. Last week, we left on kind of a depressing note. We had so much potential, you and I, human beings, made in God's good world, the Adam from the Adamah. But through our own choices and actions and sin, we brought down some pretty horrific consequences, not only on ourselves, but on all of creation. Now the ones created to help bring order out of the chaos, instead were the bringers of disorder and destruction. From dust to dust, through sweat and toil. When we think about work in our world, maybe we share the feelings of the teacher in Ecclesiastes, who wrote, "So I hated life, because the work that is done under the sun was grievous to me. All of it is like a vapor, a chasing after the wind. I hated all the things I had toiled for under the sun, because I must leave them to the one who comes after me. And who knows whether that person will be wise or foolish? Yet they will have control over all the fruit of my toil, into which I have poured my effort and skill under the sun. This, too, is meaningless." I really like the way the Message says this last part. That's when I called it quits. Gave up on anything that could be hoped for on this earth. What's the point of working your fingers to the bone if you hand over what you worked for to someone who never lifted a finger for it? Smoke. That's what it is. A bad business from start to finish. So what do you get from a life of hard labor? Pain and grief from dawn to dusk. Never a decent night's rest. Nothing but smoke.
We are sandwiched between two realities. One reality, the first garden, and all the brokenness that we've seen through the story so far, and the second reality, realized in the person of Jesus, and ultimately a new sort of garden that God seeks to make. One with, well, a lot less toil and a few more mangoes. Right now, we're here. Dust, sweat, toil, and struggle. Boy, doesn't it feel like that. Whether I'm here trying to get these rocks worked out of my hard soil, or going to another 2-hour Zoom meeting, or whether I'm trying to pay my bills. All seems like grabbing at smoke. But we gotta ask ourselves the question, is this really all there is? Nothing but toil under the sun? So I guess in our present reality, work is whatever you do to help you survive, to thrive in this world. For the ancient Israelites, that was farming and food production and all the chores that comes along with being a nomadic people. And maybe some of those things are things you have to do. Maybe you have a garden you gotta work, or you have things your parents make you do around the house. But another big thing for you that's work is school. School is something that helps you get a future and abundance later in life. School is something you produce. It's meant to build you up in education, to provide for a future.
If we break it down to its more crude understanding, you go to school to, hopefully, make more money. Now, I believe you should go to school to become a well-rounded, educated person who loves the very act of learning, and for social development as well.
But ultimately, our society often tells you the reason you go to school is so that you can hopefully go to college and get a really good job and earn a lot of money so that you can retire. Maybe it's more like drop out of school so that you can work for a tech company because you're really smart, and then you'll make a lot of money, and then you'll retire and you'll have everything you need in comfort. Or maybe it's that you'll have a YouTube channel and get really famous, and then you'll have lots of money. You see where this is going. It's the kind of cycle that continually says you are valuable only by how much you can produce. It's a system that says you are what you make. In his book, Sabbath as Resistance, Walter Brueggemann states, Moses in Deuteronomy imagines that Sabbath is not only a festival day, but also a new social reality that is carried back into days 1 through 6. People who keep Sabbath live all 7 days differently. In other words, people who get God's seventh-day rest idea are those who live differently all the rest of the days of the week. They see what they do on days 1 through 6 differently. And Brueggemann saw this contrasted most between Moses and Pharaoh. Pharaoh worked the Israelite slaves endlessly. I'll put it this way, he didn't give out weekends. When God told Moses and Aaron to go to Pharaoh and ask that the people might go for 3 days to offer sacrifices to Yahweh, what was Pharaoh's response? Get back to work. Just as many bricks as before, but now we won't even give you straw. Go find straw on your own time. Work in our world is about productivity. Now, productivity isn't bad in and of itself, but it can't be your whole identity. When we work like Pharaoh, or work for Pharaoh, we engage in behaviors that are exploitative, manipulative. We create and live into systems that are unequal and often violent. It's tiring and endless. You are not just the grades you get in school, you're not just the money you can earn in a lifetime, you're not the fame you seek or the legacy you want to leave behind. You are so much more than that. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have to get a job, go to work, do school, pay bills. Those things are going to happen. It does mean that true abundant life is one that sees that God is the giver of all those things, the provider of all that we have, and that our striving isn't the goal. It's not the end in itself. Just as the Israelites were called to be a blessing to the whole world, so too your toil isn't your final end. You are called to be so much more. You are called to a seventh-day rest. See you next week.